when you're hosting a show, how is that different than your actual, I guess, your set and your bits?
It's impossible. There are logistical announcements that you need to make up top. People need to know not to heckle. They need to know not to talk. They need to know not to film the comics. And this is the other thing. Everybody at the beginning of these shows, they always hear this and they go, oh yeah, I like to talk to the people next to me, but I whisper. Let me tell you something. All of you think you whisper quietly. You fucking don't. So this is my promise to you. If someone is whispering next to you and you can hear them, you have my full permission to tell them to shut the fuck up. And if they don't listen to you or they give you a hard time, me and Will help you fist fight them behind. And every time it gets to laugh and then no one talks for the whole show. And it just works. But then it's like, okay, now that I've said that, I have a joke about Morgan Spurlock that I want to open up. How the fuck do I get there? And you just kind of just have to go, okay, we're just going to start. Ready? Go.
Hello, viewers. Hello, listeners. Hello, friends. Hello, family members. Sean, what's up, dude? Thanks for watching. Hello. You know what? Hello, America. I've been watching a lot of Bernie Mac show, and it's a good show. You should check it out. It has a pretty good comic, Bernie Mac. And speaking of good comics, today's episode brings us to Joe Begley. Joe Begley has been working in Austin, Texas. I'm probably going to get this wrong, for about 2 to 3 years. I met him 2 years ago at an event down south at Armadillo Den, and he was honestly a really nice dude. Welcomed me. We just, we just hit it off. And 2 years later, I hit him up in the DMs because he was looking for a videographer. And then, long story short, here I am asking him a few questions about his career and learning a lot about the man himself, even though I kind of already know a lot about him. But I wanted you to get to know him, and because he's a good dude, and I think you'll like his comedy. But without further ado, here's Joe.
I wish I brought my watch because I forgot it today, but the statistics that I have on it are crazy. Are we recording, by the way?
Yeah, we're recording.
So the numbers that I have on this watch are fucking insane because it made me realize just like how nervous and anxious I am all the time. Like, I thought that on a given day I would like just sort of pace around like a little bit, but I'm like, oh, I do like 4,000 or 5,000 steps a day and just like anxiety pacing and walking around the house.
That's kind of a lot.
It's insane. It's an insane amount.
I
like the Rickshaw Billies sticker.
Appreciate it. They are my favorite band in Austin. I am too low. So, what'd you do for the Super Bowl?
Dude, I went to my friend JC's, which is okay. I always never know how to begin podcasts because you ever like have ideas of like what you think you're going to talk about.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then you're like, oh yeah, okay. What are we doing for the Super Bowl? I'll tell you this. It's sort of like a good foray into what I wanted to talk about. And I just said foray as if I like use that word in fucking conversation normally. Dude, my friend is a professional poker player, and we went to his house, and there was a lot of very like successful, rich sort of poker types.
Was this the guy we're supposed to go play or film some golf content with?
Yes.
Okay.
And went over there with him. It was cool. But the thing is, like, I like hanging out with these types of guys because I feel like when you hang out with people that are like very successful outside of stand-up, it makes you want to like level up and make things happen really quickly. Whereas like when you hang out with only comics that are at your level, you sort of feel like you're going to be stuck in that position forever. Like you can never get out of it. So I like to hang out with some people that are actually like doing shit, making things happen, because then I'm like, oh fuck, I could actually like pull something off.
It lights a fire under your ass.
Lights a fire under your ass, but it's also like just there's such a cynicism in stand-up of like, oh, this business is so hard to make it in, and everyone's just focused on getting more spots, and no one's actually like building anything long term. Like they're more so worried about like, okay, can I get this clip to go viral, and can I get booked on a show this weekend? And that's it. That's like as far as the vision goes, and I was sort of stuck in that a while. And then I started hanging out with these dudes that are actually making shit happen. Like one of our friends, Zach Tallender.
Oh yeah.
He's the fucking man. And the first time I hung out with him, I was like thinking about making some content, right? I wanted to make like YouTube videos and Instagram videos. And my whole way of making YouTube videos was I would have an idea and then I would go like, all right, I'm going to film this eventually. And I just would never fucking get around to it. So I'm opening for Che Arena. Zach comes by the green room. He's like, hey, I want to get you guys on my lift companion. And we're all like, fuck yeah, let's do it.
What's a lift companion?
He does a podcast basically like this in his garage or like on it where he just lifts weights and then you're mic'd up.
Oh, that's
you put
cool.
it out.
Okay, cool.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
So I go, awesome. And he goes, okay, cool. We'll do it at 9 tomorrow. And I'm like, oh, we're doing it tomorrow? And he goes, yeah. And then so the thing was filmed 12 hours after we met and it was released 48 hours after we met. And I'm like, all right, this is the new like standard. Let's just
As it should be.
Yeah, let's just start making shit happen.
And if it doesn't work, well, you'll just figure it out and figure out what to do better. That's awesome. So with the Super Bowl, did you expect the Eagles to win?
No, I did not.
I don't think anyone did, right?
I went in thinking, at the beginning of the playoffs, once Kansas City beat Houston, it just felt like, oh, fuck, here we go again. Like, it almost felt inevitable. Because I remember, like, early on in the season, Barstool does their, like, rankings of the, NFL teams. Mm-hmm. And they have, like, the juggernauts and then very playoff teams, Super Bowl contenders, right? All those. And then they had Kansas City one week in its own bracket. I think they said something like inevitable. And I'm like, yeah, it just felt like there's no fucking way around this.
I think there was a clear indication that the Kansas City Chiefs, they weren't supposed to be there. I think they've been helped along by the refs, and they got completely obliterated and embarrassed by the Eagles.
Well, on the first play with the A.J. Brown
oh
pass
my God, I was
thing,
like, here we go again.
That's exactly what my brain did.
Fucking thing, this is going to happen. We all knew it.
I went in going, yeah, this is just sort of what's going to happen. There's no way that it's going to be some bullshit call, because you look at it against like the Bills and fucking like if the reffing was equal, the Bills go to the Super Bowl without a doubt. But I got to be honest, I think the Eagles would have fucked up anyone that they played that week.
I agree with that too, but I think it was just so clearly evident that the Chiefs just didn't need to be there. I think they've been helped, like I said earlier, they've been helped along with their game plan, and I don't like it. I didn't like them being in the Super Bowl, but I was happy with the outcome.
I think everyone was. It was amazing. Sure. Everyone was except the people that bet on the Chiefs. Because you know what my thought process was? I went, okay, every time the Chiefs have played in a Super Bowl, I have bet against them and lost. And I was going to bet on the Chiefs, and then I went, you know what? I would rather have the Chiefs lose and me be unhappy than have the Chiefs win and me be unhappy than have the Chiefs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I would rather if the Chiefs win, I want to lose.
Right.
I just want that to be the way that it goes.
Yep.
I don't like betting with my heart, but every year it's like it's the Super Bowl and I want to bet on the Super Bowl. I bet $100 in the Super Bowl and $100 in the national championship every year, and that's it. That's it.
Okay.
That's it. And maybe a little bit here and there. But I just went, you know what, dude? If I bet on the Chiefs and the Eagles win, I'm gonna be so fucking upset. If the Eagles win and the Chiefs, and I bet on the fucking Chiefs, I'm gonna be more mad than in any other outcome that exists on the board. So I have to bet the Eagles. And dude, in retrospect, you got this fucking team that, to me, has a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, right? But you have the best running back, the best offensive line, 2 dynamite wide receivers, that are completely different. So you have to cover them totally differently. And then on defense, you have the best defensive line, and their biggest problem was their secondary. They went out in one draft, got 2 guys that fixed all of their problems, and now they're to me, like, they might be the best team in the league.
Yeah. I saw a crazy stat. Like, I think they managed to get 4 sacks on Mahomes without even blitzing. Like, they just used their front D linemen. Oh, that was pretty impressive.
It's insane.
Yeah. All right. What do you think of Drake's show?
What do I think?
I'm sorry, not Drake. God, Kendrick Lamar show.
Don't care. Not going to talk about it.
You don't want to talk about it?
No.
I will say the liberal boomers on my Facebook, followers, whatever, and the conservative boomers on the Facebook were all in unison saying how terrible of a halftime show it was. I'm like, all right, Kendrick Lamar is bringing people together. So, but yeah, I actually really liked the halftime show, and I thought it was good. But
I unfortunately was at a Super Bowl party where this is like an age-old dilemma, but it's like, do you want to go to a place where you can hear the game and see the game really well, or do you want to go to the party? And I picked the party.
Okay.
And I just, when the Super Bowl halftime show came on, I couldn't fucking hear anything. Yeah. So I got no opinions on it. I mean, obviously, I think Money Trees to me is like a top 10 song of this fucking century, like this century so far.
Sure.
Why not play it?
And he didn't do it.
I mean,
he didn't do it.
I get it. It's supposedly it was all a message, and it was somehow dunking on Drake and also talking about the plight of African Americans in the United States.
Yeah.
And that was the whole thing. And it was just supposed to be those two things and not about playing the hits. But I'm like, whatever.
Which I think he did very well. It was very he was very, I don't know. He did a good job in my opinion. You were just at a wedding. Whose wedding were you at?
I was at my friend Dylan's wedding.
All right, on. How was that? Fun time?
It was insane. It was really good. I think my biggest takeaways from the weddings is every once in a while you run into some people that are just so fucking funny naturally. You're like, yo, if you figured out stand up, a lot of people would be fucked and have to quit. So we're at the wedding, and my buddy's marrying this Italian girl, and she has 4 brothers. 3 of whom are like your stereotypical Italian young stockbroker, like aggressive TRT guys, fucking awesome. And then one of them's like gay, like, but the most put together fucking like fashion designer. And he's the only one that's like married, right? And her dad's just like a fucking animal, like so goddamn funny. So we're at the rehearsal dinner and we're sitting there, and Dad gets up to give a speech, and he goes, look, I just want you to remember something, all right? He looks at his daughter, and he goes, you're daddy's little girl, you're daddy's princess. You will always be daddy's princess. But I want you to remember this. You're not daddy's princess because you're marrying a prince. You're daddy's princess because your dad's the fucking king. And everybody was like, yeah.
Started fist pumping.
But the speeches were crazy. Like,
good or just crazy?
Everyone crushed.
Okay, good.
Like, everybody fucking crushed. I got a shout out in the best man speech on the groom side, which was great.
Attaboy. Yeah, in my career of filming weddings for over 8 years, there was only like maybe 2 or 3 that really were good. So I'm interested to know why our wedding speeches becoming better because of research, because of YouTube, because of seeing...
wedding speeches were good on this one because of confidence.
Okay.
Like, the guys that went up and killed, first of all of the brothers spoke, which is...
Oh, God, that's so long. It's probably like...
They were just boom, kill, boom, boom, lighting motherfuckers on fire. Just like, just saying wild shit. And everybody was having a good time. And the groom's brothers, the best man speech, he goes, I knew like Brianna was the one for Dylan, because he's like, she's coming on the family. She goes, she's coming on the boys' ski trip this year. And we're all like, whoa, you've been dating this girl for 2 months. You sure you want her to meet Joe Beggs? And I'm like, and I was like, let's fucking go, dude.
Band or DJ?
Band.
Buffet or
entrees?
Dinner? Okay, nice. After party?
after party after party.
Oh shit.
Open bar. I'm not kidding. Starting at 6 p.m. and ending at 1:30 in the morning.
That is wild. Holy shit. How many people roughly?
500
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that makes sense.
at the Ritz-Carlton.
Oh, wow. That's quite of a party.
It was insane. Big wedding. My whole family was invited, so all 5 of us plus my brother and sister's boyfriend and girlfriend, and so there were 7 people in the Begley clan alone.
Did anyone come to you for advice in their speeches, given your profession?
Yes.
What were the piece of advice you gave to them?
None of the bride's family even considered asking me anything because they had it fucking down.
Okay.
But my buddy, my best friend's little brother was like, "Do you have anything?" And I go, "Yes. Eat the mic. Put the mic in your mouth."
Yep.
Everybody goes up there and they talk like this and they go like this.
And they're really handsy with it.
Yeah, and I did that for the first 5 years I was in fucking stand-up.
Oh.
I still do it sometimes. You've seen me do it.
Dude. Yeah, that's kind of, the audience needs to hear you, and you need the tool to be properly pointed at your
So
mouth.
if you put it in your mouth, you will you'll do way better than you would have. Like if everyone can hear you,
If
you're
I could
gonna
only,
do better.
you need to give that advice to my ex-girlfriend. It was, yeah,
Really?
I'm kidding.
Put it in your mouth.
Get it? Jokes. So let's take it back. Where
Yes.
are you from?
I'm from Connecticut,
What part of Connecticut?
northern Connecticut.
Okay.
Up north, my hometown is a place that I'm kind of like really into. I think like growing up, everybody hates where they're from.
Yeah, I don't get that sentiment. I loved where I grew up.
Yeah, I hated it for a while, but I hated it just because like that's just, you grew up listening to the early 2000s pop punk, and I think like it just kind of got in your head just being like, oh, you should hate where you grew up and you should fucking just resent everyone around you. And
Yep.
that's kind of the way that I did it. I mean, but the thing is like the town that I grew up in is really awesome in that like there was, okay, so traditionally the town that I grew up in was a tobacco farming town. Those are the biggest businesses in town. A lot of people don't realize this, but like the best cigars in the world are wrapped in like northern Connecticut tobacco.
Oh, I
The
didn't know
reason
that.
is if you look at a topographical map of Connecticut, it's like sort of hilly, semi-mountainous, but right up the middle is this flat thing, right? It's completely flat. And the reason is a glacier moved through there however long ago and dumped like feet on feet of the greatest, most nutritious soil on planet Earth. So you can grow fucking anything there. And the tobacco that they started growing there, you ship it down to the Dominican Republic and then they would wrap the cigars. But eventually people realized like, okay, the Connecticut tobacco is just like, you could smoke that too. So you can go out and buy like a topper, which is just, that's all Connecticut shade tobacco.
Had no idea about that. That's interesting.
So my dad grew up picking tobacco. A bunch of people from that era grew up picking tobacco. A lot of my friends did. But then my era, we were fucking pussies. I mean, I grew up in a new like suburb development. I went to prep school. I fucking definitely like big generational disconnect.
Sure.
Where like my grandparents were Irish immigrants and like my dad grew up picking tobacco and my mom had to like make her own way to get through college. Like I had to get a full ride running track, and then I'm just like, yeah.
What was
I go to Suffield Academy and I fucking drink under the bleachers and I'm fucking.
You were a bad boy. What were your parents' career? Did your dad did he grow up picking tobacco for the duration of his career? Does he still do
No.
it? Okay,
He's
what
a
does he do now?
CPA. I
Okay,
mean,
right on.
yeah,
Cool.
and he's killing it. CPA and
Awesome.
financial advisor.
God.
And then my
If
mom.
you can find a good CPA, that alleviates so much stress. I have the fucking biggest problem with trying to find one that'll respond to one goddamn email. Like, I will give you thousands of dollars if you just do my taxes.
Yeah.
That's insane.
But
anyways.
that's his thing. Is
That's
like
awesome.
he's gone kind of like boutique with it, where a bunch of clients, I guess, were just you know what? I can't talk about. I shouldn't talk about his business. He'd get mad. But no, he's good at what he does, and yeah, he is that dude where he's like honestly too responsive. People will call him and just be like, "I have this question."
I would love that. I love over communication. I need that in my life.
Well, the thing is, like, it's so bad for him because he'll get like we'll be at fucking dinner on like a Saturday night, and he'll get a call from someone, and they'll be like, "Hey, I just have a question about this," and you're like, and he'll answer it while we're at dinner or on vacation, and you're like, "Dude, enough." But at the same time, that's why he's like, you know, massively successful. Yeah. I think he knows what he's doing. He's really good at it.
What does your mom do?
My mom ran track for the U.S. national team.
Sick.
And then has kind of like was coaching the local middle school team for a while, and like, but is now retired. So.
Okay. Did she have to be a teacher?
No.
As well, so she's just straight
special exception.
That's awesome. I know a lot of our coaches growing up had to do like the teacher role as well as like the coaching role, which, come to think of it, that's pretty daunting on them, the amount of work that they had to do. But
yeah, I mean, I'm sure it is. And there's like I don't know, there's definitely some incredible people that have done both, and then there's like other people that I think were annoyed that my mom was the coach and didn't work at the school and was trying to kind of take the program back.
Got it.
Which was insane because like we went from the middle school team went from like dead last to all of a sudden like winning. Not just like we're a medium sized school, so that's like 600 kids in a middle school, and then we're going up against like middle schools that have like 1,500 kids and whipping their ass,
smoking them.
We were like number one in the whole state.
Oh, that's
in both men's and women's, and they're like,
nice.
Well, you know, we really don't think that you guys should have this. And you're like, okay, fucking bitter assholes. Nobody wanted to coach the cross country team when we were there. So,
growing up, did you play? I guess were you in cross country?
Yeah.
What other sports? Hockey?
No.
Okay.
So I grew up playing everything, and then I kind of transitioned out of it. As I got to high school, I was sort of just like purebred running, and then
a
little bit of swimming in the off season.
Okay.
But man, I mean, it gets you. I think there's like very few sports like it. I think maybe anything racing is, and then maybe like wrestling too is just a matter of like how much suffering can I put myself through. Like cross country, people don't realize it's fucked up. Like, cause you go out and people are like, oh yeah, you're just running. And you're like, no, like the difference for me running a 5K at like 16:20 pace versus running it at like 17-minute pace is the difference of like, okay, like I'm going to make myself fucking hurt today. Like it's some of like the most like pain I've ever been in, you know? You just you beat the fuck out of yourself. And yeah, like cross country runners are psychos. I mean, truly. Like it's just people that when I got to college, I ran one semester. I was recruited to run at Begley and I quit. And you know, Bentley's like D2, so some people are on scholarship, but the majority of people are in it for the love of the game.
Okay.
And like I think the people that I knew on that team, everybody is just like some of the most rock solid guys I've ever met, because I think for you to want to go out and just like brutalize yourself just to be a part of a team when you could be getting fucked up every weekend is so crazy.
That's very mature of them that they took that, took that responsibility to.
It's insane. As an 18-year-old kid.
Dude, I was pretty responsible until I left the parents' house and went to college at Texas State. Then, yeah, it got pretty reckless. And then I, dialed it back in. So what did you do career-wise before you became full-time comedian?
Dude, so I went to
software.
Tech?
Okay,
it's complicated. Basically, I went to the University of Vermont after Bentley. I transferred to Bentley was a business school, and I decided that I didn't want to be around all accountants and finance people all the time.
Was it the suggestion of your parents to pursue that business career or that business degree?
It was actually like pretty complicated. I didn't want to go there really at all. I wanted to go to University of Alabama, and
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. And there was a guy in town who was on the board at Bentley, and he lived in Suffield, Connecticut, but he was on the board of the school, and he recruited me pretty heavily. He was like a local, pretty rich dude, so he brought me to like Patriots games in the box. Like I got to catch a game of the Patriots undefeated season in 2007 from the box.
Very cool.
Got to catch a game in 2011 on the field. Really cool stuff, like pretty incredible. And then also like the cross country team wanted me. So despite like not being that good on my SATs and not having that good of a GPA, I got into a school that was like way above my caliber, right? Like got in. And yeah, I was there, and then I was like, this is not the move. So transferred to UVM. Decided to just like finish up the Chinese thing. So I was a Chinese and economics double major, which was pretty great. But I read the Steve Jobs book my senior year, and I just went, you know what, dude? I want to figure this out. There were a whole bunch of different things that I like knew that I kind of wanted to do. I knew that I desperately wanted to try stand up. I remember wanting to try it, but I would like look at these open mics on Google and on Facebook, and I just never had the nerve to go, you know? I also think that if I had tried it in 2014 or 2015, I would have flamed out and quit for sure. So it's really good that I didn't go. But dude, yeah, I ended up enrolling in a coding boot camp because I read the Steve Jobs book, and I got a job as a advanced solutions engineer, which is like basically you field calls on the product and help people use the product.
Okay.
It's not bad. And then like I eventually started making YouTube videos, and then forwarded the YouTube videos into like getting a job working contracts for like Apple and Walmart and shit. But the thing that I really wanted to talk to you about, because I was thinking about this on the way over and just getting fucking pissed off, is how much I hated my last job in tech.
Why? People, the industry, everything?
It was both. There's a lot of bullshit that these companies are getting away with.
Did you have to, were you able to work remote, or did you have to go to the office?
It was remote.
Oh, okay.
And don't get me wrong, like I think a lot of people that work in like the restaurant business or in a coal mine are going to hear what I'm about to say and just be like, you're a fucking pussy. And to that I say, yes, I am. But hear me out. This is it. The last company that I worked for made me so fucking irritated because I worked for them, and I've been working for a small startup. There was a data company, and we were doing a lot of like questionable stuff. So I decided that I didn't want to work for the data company anymore, and I left. And so I went on LinkedIn, and this is how much different the market for tech jobs was.
What year was this?
This was 2022.
Okay.
And the difference between the market for tech jobs in 2022 and right now is insane. In 2022, I would go on LinkedIn and I would get like 5 to 10 messages a day offering me new jobs. And now it's just
insane.
like recruiters from fucking India that are scam artists.
Right.
Yeah, not good. The last guy did an interview with me and then asked me to send him a copy of my photo ID before I'd even gotten the job. And I was like, no.
This is, yeah, that's weird. So you didn't like the job because of their questionable business okay.
I'll tell you what happened.
All right.
So I went on LinkedIn and I made a list of the 10 companies that I would want to work for out of the people in my DMs. That's just the way that I did it. I went, these cold apps are not working, so I'll rank them based on the recruiters. The company that I ended up working for, I put it 10 out of 10. They were the lowest ranked of all the companies that I wanted to work for. But as I went through the interview process, I was like, I could really see myself working here. Like, this seems like an incredible place to work. Everybody seems awesome. I was working for a startup, and I was the first hire on the web team. So I was in this position where, like, during the pandemic, I was doing a lot of late nights. I was staying up, like, rebuilding the whole app infrastructure and stuff. And that wasn't going to fly as I got into stand-up. So I wanted a traditional 9-to-5er. And this company basically pitched me on this idea. They were like, look, we're like a fun young company. We really value like the work-life balance thing.
Were they trendsetters?
They were trendsetters. But this is what pissed me off the most is they went, okay, you are working a lot. We want you to know this when you come to work for us. We have unlimited PTO. But a lot of companies have unlimited PTO, and they say that you really have unlimited, and you don't. We actually force you to get at least 3 weeks a year. You have to take at least 15 days off. And I went, great, amazing. So I get in on the first day, and my manager and me like hit it off. He's the fucking man. I'm getting my work done. We're in like a chill environment. I'm working exactly as much as I need to work. I'm getting everything done. Things are cool. Manager gets fired out of the blue. And I was like, what the fuck happened? What the fuck was that? That was like, why did he get, he seemed fine. Like, so they fire him, and then I start working under the VP of engineering. And, dude, he sits me down the first day. He goes, all right, this is the way that I want to do this. I'm giving you an Excel spreadsheet, and I want you to like fill out your dreams on this Excel spreadsheet. And so the thing is, like, no matter what it is, you have to lie.
How old, I'm sorry to interrupt, but how old were you at the time when you went under the VP's management?
28.
Okay.
And he's probably 45.
Okay.
So this fucking guy, being like dumb, fell for everything that he was doing, man. I went in and I go, this guy's incredible. Like, he's asking me what my dreams are in the business. This is so great. I even like had a friend that was like in a career change. I even introduced him to my manager and had them meet.
Oh.
Like, this is how nuts I was. But this fucking guy has me fill out these dreams, and the thing is, you can't be honest about your dreams. You have to lie, because he's asking you what your long-term dreams are in your career. And you can't be like, hey, I want to be a stand-up comic. And in 5 years, I don't want to be working here anymore. You have to be like, my dream in life is to be a level 4 software engineer. Wow. What a dream to have. I would love to work. So I start working for this guy, and immediately there's like a total vibe change. Couldn't be more different. He's coming in every day. He's like, before it was, hey, make sure you get your work done. Make sure you make all the meetings. That's it. Now I'm getting messages like, hey, where are you? And I'm like, it's 6 p.m. He's like, well, we need to make sure that everyone's accounted for from 8 to 6 every day. And I'm like, oh, so we're not working 40 hours a week. Like, so this guy starts ramping up my hours, doing more stuff. And then the first 3 months that I'm there, I take 6 days off. And he pulls me into a meeting and he goes, I've noticed you've been taking a lot of personal time off. And I go, I took 6 days.
Yeah.
And
that's what the company said I could do.
He goes, well, in the first 90 days, we recommend that you take no more than 5, because we want to make sure that people aren't going to abuse the policy. And I go, fine. And he goes, well, for the first 6 months, then could you keep it under 10 total, 10 days off? What I ended up figuring out was, when you do the dreams list, they take your dreams and use them as a weapon against you. They go, okay, if you really wanted to be a software engineer level 4 at this company, would you be acting like this? Would you be taking 10 days of PTO in the first 6 months?
Wow.
Fucking crazy.
That's evil.
Evil.
That's very evil.
And then on top of that, the company, which this is illegal, by the way. I think it might be legal, but it's fucked up. It has a unofficial policy that you can take up to 4 weeks of paid time off per year, but they recommend that you take 3. So they're acting like it's all chill and fun, and they're working everybody to the fucking bone. And this dude that's running the company is the most like uptight fucking lunatic I've ever met in my life. And it's just fucked up because, dude, I have no problem with working hard. I have no problem with taking 3 weeks of PTO every year. But tell me what's going on.
Right.
Be honest.
Yeah.
Be upfront about it. Like, come in and go, hey, just so you know, we are a company that just took a ton of early seed money. And the company's been crushing it. We've been making more money every year than we have the year before. And revenue is going up like 50% year over year every year. Now, we want to keep this going. And we only want people on board that are going to fucking smoke the goals. So do you want to work 50 or 60 hours a week? Are you a top-level engineer? Do you want to take 3 weeks of PTO? Do you want to be on call all the time? If so, take this position. But instead what they did was, oh, we're like a fun company. Don't fucking do that. Don't do that. You're lying to people. Like, and the thing that pisses me off is like, that's kind of what I realized happened to me and my manager. Like the first manager that I had, we were meeting expectations, but they didn't want someone that was going to meet expectations. They wanted somebody that was going to drive their engineers to work more than they ever could. So that's it.
Do you think a little bit of that is due to you're Catholic, right?
Yes.
We discussed this. I'm glad I remember that. But do you feel like it's because of that Catholic guilt that you're so motivated to work to show other people like, hey, I'm worth every dollar that you invested in me?
No, I don't think it's, for me, I don't think that's what's driving the boat, making people work that hard. I think what it is venture capital.
Okay.
I think what it is this, is the second you get a venture capital investment into your business, you are legally required to maximize that. You sign a contract saying that, hey, we took in this venture capital money and we are going to do everything we can to maximize the return on that investment for you. And when you have an engineer on staff that you could be working this hard, but instead they're working less hard than that, you have a requirement to your shareholders to push that person to the limit. So this idea that like any company really could be a fun company where you're truly allowed to use the ping pong table in the office. You're truly allowed to drink the beers that are in the fridge. You're truly allowed to take 6 weeks of PTO a year. It does not exist. And the other reason that exists
It's a fallacy.
It's a fallacy. And this is the biggest part of the fallacy though. The reason that they had to let engineers do that is because they were a hot commodity. Good engineers were hard to find. And at the same time, the highest level engineers, the true geniuses of the business, are still really, really fucking hard to find. But a JavaScript engineer building web applications, suddenly there's all these kids coming out of boot camp. Suddenly the computer science major is more popular than ever. Suddenly ChatGPT is doing half the work. And all of a sudden you, this person that's like, was irreplaceable, was someone that was a core piece of the business, all of a sudden you're replaceable. And the reason they had to give you all these perks was because you were replaceable. And now that you are replaceable, they were like, fuck it. You don't want to work every week. Get the fuck out of here. And I get it, but be honest about it. Come on. Let's fucking go.
Have you kept up with them recently and checked on their business?
Killing it.
Oh, God. I was hoping they would, have faltered. But so Ramon, edit that. Cool.
Just in case.
No. Yeah, I got you.
To get
I got
job.
I got you. Dude, come on. You got to sink the boats. There's only one career
No, that's
now.
bullshit. It's total bullshit.
You don't like that idea?
No.
Okay. Anyways, moving on. So how long we met at
Yes.
or I'm going to edit that part out.
Another
No,
awesome
just
company to
don't.
work for.
We-
Another fun company that's doing fun things
Are they?
and hasn't tried to take any money from anyone in this room.
Or yeah. So
Hasn't tried to steal fucking $3,000 from me one time. Good shit.
yeah, they're
We can edit the name out of that.
No, I'll definitely bleep it out. But that was an interesting shoot because it came as a referral from a good buddy who knew the owner, And so I thought it was going to be legitimate, and then they just started cutting hours because they were not prepared. But the good thing that came out of it, I was able to meet you. So at that point in your, had you just quit that previous job that you did not like anymore?
Yeah,
Or
I
were you
got
still
fired the Tuesday before. So
Okay.
started on a Friday, or maybe no, I got fired on like a Wednesday. So I got fired like less than 48 hours before we met.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it had just happened.
And so going through your mind, were you worried about like, I don't have an income and now it's time
No,
to
I was
pursue this?
ecstatic.
Okay.
When I got fired, I called my parents and I was like, I'm so happy. And they're like, this is not the first time that you've been happy that you've been fired from a job. So this is bad.
Were they, I assume they were worried.
Honestly, they were very fucking cool about it.
Okay, good.
In retrospect, because I think they knew how miserable I was in tech.
Yeah.
And my parents actually were like, hey, you should stop writing code right away and go get your like securities license, start selling fucking financial products, because they're like, you're wasting a huge portion of your skills. And I was like, well, I'd rather save my social skill set for something else and use like the analytics side of my brain during the day. But
so during that time when you were with that company that you didn't like, were you doing open mics? Were you working on bits? Were you working on jokes? What
100%.
were you, okay. What was so you would do your 9 to 5, you do your, tech job bullshit. Then what were some of the, I don't know, what was your work ethic when it came to being a comedian? Like, what would you do? Would you write?
Insane. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I would say like the absolute peak of this was when I was working for Apple and Walmart Labs, because I was working in Silicon Valley and I was working in like Sunnyvale in office. So I would wake up and I would drive to the office and then I would be there for, 6, 7, 8 hours.
God, that sucks.
And I would go back home and I would go for a jog, get something to eat, and then immediately go do open mics or just go do stand up.
Do you remember your first open mic?
Not really.
Okay. What was the overall sense of going to an open mic? Was like, I'm going to
terrifying.
Bomb.
Absolutely terrifying.
Again, with the I keep going back to the Catholic guilt thing, but it feels like for me, there's always a sense of I need that individual, that company, that group, whatever, to like me for whatever reason. I don't want to offend them. I don't want to piss them off. I just need them to like me because in my mind, that's a sense of respect. So being a comic, you have to know that when you're up on stage, not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody's going to respond to your joke. How do you process that?
Oh, it's awful. I mean, I think like there were some people that ended up like embracing me in Boston comedy, which was really cool.
Okay.
But I take it back. I do kind of remember the first time I got up there. I fucked it up so bad that I did it twice in 2016 and just like didn't come back for a year. I remember going to Tavern at the End of the World and there were so many things that were like working against you.
Mm-hmm.
It was there's a bar up front in the front room, and then we did the open mic in the back room, and you would have to get there early to sign up, and if you weren't early you would be like 20th on the list. So 20th is like 2 hours into this fucking thing, and it was in a room where on one side in the bar was the Bruins game on a TV playing loud, and then on our side was like people eating dinner, and then like these poor bastards that were having dinner would just get all these open micers in there in the room, and then in the back was an open kitchen, so like the kitchen was in the dining room.
This is not good for your sense of focus. It can't be.
No, it's not. I mean, I remember just like sitting there every time and just I truth be told, I don't know how I kept doing it, because like I didn't like it at all. It wasn't like, oh, I did stand-up comedy and now my dream's fulfilled, I'm chasing my dream. It was like, oh, I fucking hate this, But I think what was like reassuring about it was everyone was so bad at it that I was like, I can beat these people.
Was it a sense of I just need to get more reps in? Like I have something here. I just need more practice. Was that?
Yeah, I knew I was a funny guy, and I knew that I could get it to a stage somehow. But I look at videos of me doing stand up like I just posted a clip of me doing stand up a year in, and I don't even talk the way that I talk. Like I had this bad habit where I would like talk with a Boston accent when I was like really nervous. It was weird. And then like I was trying to suppress that. So by trying to suppress it, I started like talking like Mitch Hedberg. And then I'm like watching this video and I'm like, this is fucking bad.
Was it cringe?
Yeah.
But I think there is something, I don't know, there's something humbling about watching yourself and realizing, okay, I need to do this part better. Like you looked at it as game film, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it was game film, but it's also just like looking back at it. Just at the time, I didn't really watch my sets, so I would just have these tapes, and then I just sort of had them in the archives for years. I just think at the beginning, it was like, and it still is just a game of me trying to get out of my own way.
Yeah. So flash forward to Armadillo Den when we first met each other. Did you have any shows that night? Were you doing any?
No, but I did the last show of that fest.
Yeah. How'd that go?
I was blacked out. I mean, we'd been drinking. Like when we worked that event, we weren't like drinking a couple beers. We were like.
You were crushing those White Claws.
We were drinking
at like
10
12
to 15 drinks a day.
Yeah.
At work.
At work.
It was insane. I mean, but the thing that was really irritating about that gig to me that we met at was, again, it was another case of like a fun company where they're going like, oh, hey, we want to come in and we want to like showcase what we've got here. And they hire me as this like man on the street creator, and I have made viral content in the past, and I come in and they're like, you should go up to people and ask like, is a hot dog a sandwich? And I'm like, you guys don't know how to do this. Like, I was trying to go around and talk to the bands and have like authentic conversations with the bands, and they were like, stop doing that. Remember that?
I do remember that. That whole company seemed very cliquey. It seemed like they didn't want me in a part of their group. They were cordial, but it just didn't get a vibe like, oh yeah, come on, let's work, let's put out good content. They were more so concerned about filming whatever live show with the most popular person in the room and smoking a bunch of weed, which I was like, man, I can't really mix those two. I can do one or the other, but I'm not.
I couldn't smoke any weed. Yeah, they wanted to get baked all the time.
Yeah, I was like, dude, how do you guys function? And it turns out, well, they really didn't. I don't know. They didn't do a good job.
Chill either.
No.
I hate this fake fucking chill thing that comes out of LA where they're like, hey man, great to see you.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh dude, everything's good. So nice. Why aren't you making the hot dog videos? Fuck off.
So at that point in your comedy career, what were you doing? Were you going to open mics here in Austin? Were you starting your own shows? What did your comedy career look like at that point?
Yeah, so I was sort of hitting the breaking point of my career basically. Like, I'll wait for you to come back. I don't want to. No, I want to see you drink this Miller Lite.
Okay.
You got Pine House in there? Is that what that is?
I do, yeah. Well, I mean, I wanted to bust out a very special beer for this occasion, but we can do it some other time. I'm trying to get sponsorships, Joe.
Yeah.
But no, you were.
Well,
where we left off.
Yeah, I might have to drink a beer. We'll see. But okay, so everything was hitting a breaking point because despite what was going on when I worked in Silicon Valley, at all of those gigs, for the most part, I could work less than 6 hours a day. I could run low hours and be fine and get away with doing my job. But AI was starting to come out. Things were starting to get more competitive. People were starting to lose their jobs. I don't know if you remember mid-2022, but the market, this seems like it didn't even happen because it's rebounded so strongly, but the stock market was collapsing and inflation was going crazy, and it felt like the entire ship was going to sink for a little bit.
I didn't get any sense of that. I just remember living in Austin, houses were going like crazy. Like within 10 seconds, they were being bought and sold, and it was crazy because I had real estate clients at the time. That's the only thing I remember.
No, but dude, on a national level, it was like there was a panic. That was when the grocery prices really started going crazy. That was when like the stock market dipped like 20% over the course of 6 months. Things were not looking good, and so these companies were kind of looking for an excuse to get rid of people, and everyone was working fucking hard. So even when I was commuting into the office and going back and forth, I could still sort of pull it off because I would get home at like 5:30 every day, right? And then just a quick jog, 6:30, hang out for like a couple hours, and then go do the mics. Now it was getting to the point where it was like, okay, I don't have a weekend anymore. Every weekend I'm doing stand-up, which is great. This is what I wanted. But during the day, I'm fucking working, and then midweek I'm going out and doing open mics and spots and shit. I'm fucking busy. And yeah, it just was getting to the point where I knew one or the other had to go. And the decision was made for me, and I wasn't mad about it.
Did you tell your parents what you wanted to pursue?
Yes.
What was their reaction to it?
Good idea.
Oh, okay. Awesome. They're supportive.
They're supportive. I mean, I think the way that I pitched it to them, and I still sort of have this attitude, was I'm going to go really fucking hard at this. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, I'll just go get a job and I'll stop doing stand-up.
Did you give yourself a time span of like, hey, I'm going to go full head on into this path for 2, 5, 10 years?
Yeah, so it was like supposed to be a year, which was a year ago. So that's not happening anymore. But here's the thing. I'm 2 years into this. I've burned way less money than I thought I would have over the course of 2 years, which is great. The Don't Tell thing has helped massively. Hidalgo has helped massively. That's been great. I'm still losing money on average on every month, but the burn rate is slowed. And I sell some beer occasionally. That fucking helps. But the thing is, I sort of hit like an incubation period where I just went, you know what? I am going to... By the way, it was actually 2023 when I got fired, not 2022.
Okay.
I just made a decision where I was like, okay, I'm going to stop posting content for a little bit. I'm just going to focus on getting better at stand-up, start building shit because this is not working. And then at the beginning of this year, I was like, all right, I'm ready to rip video every day. Mm-hmm. We started doing the vlogs towards the end of last year. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, all right, I know exactly what we need to do. It's a video every day and then one long-form YouTube video every month.
Sure.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And that's all we're doing. And yeah, that's my plan, which is like I'm going to hit it way harder.
And it's only been a month. Has that worked out? Are you showing some form of ROI, whether it be viewership, whether it be finance, whether it be
It
interest?
popped off insanely at the beginning. The fourth video that I posted got like 4 million views.
Yeah.
And like the 10th video that I posted got 2. And then I think I popped off a little bit too hard at the beginning where it's kind of made me get in my own head.
You never want to pop off too soon.
Yeah. Can't pre-jack. Yeah. But I pre-jaculated on the content. And now it's slowing down. And the thing that people don't understand about
it's correcting itself. It's a market correction.
Yeah, the thing that people don't get about having a viral video is it's insane when it goes off, which is like you look at your Instagram and it's got like the people that followed you, it'll be like, oh, fucking in the last hour, like 100 people have followed you. And in the last hour, 100,000 people have watched your video.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy shit. And then it slows down gradually to the point where it's like, oh, you go on your phone and there's like no new notifications.
It's a bit addicting, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God, all these people like me.
and
I'm gonna make so much money.
You come down hard. And so the thing is, this is why I'm kind of grateful that I had the idea to do a video every day, is I'm like, you know what, man? I'm just going to keep going no matter what. And I think at some point I would have gotten frustrated that it's been a while since I've had like one really pop off. But then I'm like, yeah, the fucking million view video was like 3 weeks ago. I'm like acting like it was, yeah.
And that's still, I mean, by my standard, that's 100 eyeballs that saw you and know your brand and know or got to see your brand, got to see your, your form of interaction. And I think that's pretty cool. The last guest I had on, Jack Carson, he is friends with Nico Little. He had a viral video that popped off, and I asked him, like, okay, so what was the good things that came out of it? He's like, yeah, it's nice to have all those views and whatnot, but out of that video, I got one fan from Paris, and they DM'd me and said that they liked my music, and that was like the most beautiful thing out of all of that. But then he was like, yeah, after that, it's just, viewership falls off and it's back to normal and you're back to feeling like a normal human again. So
yeah, I don't give a fuck about the guy from Paris. Instagram sent me $500, which I was like, sick. Let's go.
Shit. Okay. Yeah. So I was about to ask, what were some of the good things that has come out of those?
Well, some people did DM me and they're like, dude, your beer videos have changed my life. And I was like, seek counseling. I mean, you should truly go to an AA meeting. That's not good. That's really probably pretty bad. But no, but seriously, if there were some people that were like, yo, I actually really like this stuff. That's fucking awesome. The challenge has been this. This has been the real fucking challenge. Is the goal of the video a day concept was to fail as fast as possible. So the goal was, okay, I got nothing going into the year. I'm just going to, no matter what, make a video every single day and see how it goes. And so I'm 5 days in, a beer video goes crazy. 10 days in, another beer video goes crazy. 20 days in, a video about liquor goes crazy. All of a sudden, I go from being stand-up comedian Joe to I'm the beer guy. I'm like this, that's my new brand.
And here you are drinking coffee.
Look, I got fucked up.
I know.
Okay?
Continue. Yeah, go. You're the beer guy. I've
been drinking legitimately every day since Thursday.
Yeah.
So I need to stop.
It's a good thing you did that sober January, dry January.
You know what? It helps, Ramon. It does help.
Anyways, all right. You've been known as a beer guy. You've been known as the liquor guy.
So the brand just sort of consumes you, where all of a sudden the Instagram algorithm is showing your content to this group of people that viewed you recently. Right. And it used to be like, oh, they saw my stand-up videos. Let's go. Now it's like, oh, this is the beer guy. So I expect to see beer content from him. And when they don't see that, I think they get a little shaken up, and you have this idea that like, okay, that's the thing that's bringing me success, so I should pursue that.
But granted, you probably don't want to be known as a beer guy, but what if you somehow re-engineered that to be like, yeah, I'm the beer guy, but hey, I'm also a comedian in some, inform your new viewers like, hey, I'm doing shows in Austin and wherever you're traveling.
So you can do that. How do you?
Yeah, why don't you just because you're getting the viewership, you're getting what you want out of it. Now, just I don't know, utilize it in a different manner.
Well, the challenge is that the only way to really reach your audience is through virality.
Right. No.
So
yeah,
with the Instagram stories, like 1,000 people see them out of the 30,000 people that follow me. So they're looking at that, and then the posts, like not that many people see those. So you go in and you're like, okay, well, I want to tell these people what's up. How do you get a hold of them?
That's something you got to figure out.
Do you like go in and DM everybody?
I mean, why not? What else are you doing on your phone?
True.
I mean, there is, what I'm saying is that there is potential there to grow an audience, to make it economical to be a comedian by using that viewership. Like there's got to be some way, and you'll figure it out. I believe that you will. So you do the Armadillo Den job, which was so fun and so well organized, put together. How much longer until you meet the Will Howard? Or did you already meet him by then?
I'd already met Will.
Okay.
So I met him the year before, but we started Hidalgo the next month.
Now, he told me the story of his first introduction to you. I want to hear your side of the story when you first met Will.
I think it was either we have about the same birthday, I think.
Okay.
We're both like late July. And so I was at the gym getting a lift in, and it was his birthday. We ended up just like doing these sets. We started talking. And then he's like, I want to do a backyard comedy show. And I was like, great, I don't. And then just sort of kept moving. Because this is what, like, at this point, my fucking, I know, it's
awesome. That's very California of you. Like, that's great, but I don't want to do it.
Yeah. I was like, get the fuck off. And I kept hanging out with him, though. You know, like, I would fucking see him around. We'd get beer sometimes. I think we ended up going out for a while that night, but like, you know, Will's the fucking man. But the thing is, like, at this point I had just gotten done working with the cloakroom where we're gonna have to blur out so much shit, but the head bartender there had like a meth problem.
Don't say it. Jesus, make my job easier. Do I need to blur that out?
No.
Okay, all right.
So one of the bartenders had a bit of a problem, and so like she just wouldn't show up, and she was also like kind of into meth, which was not good. And so she was the only bartender and the door woman at this bar. And I'd be running the comedy show. And while people are like needing to get drinks and shit, she'd just decide, hey, this is a great time for me to go outside and feed the raccoons that live in the drain.
The Rakins? Y'all got Rakins at the cloakroom?
So she would feed these raccoons, and like, you know, I'm trying to deliver like the best experience that I can to these people. I'm trying to give people like the best show that I can, and they can't even get a fucking drink. And, you know, it was really great because the cloakroom was like pretty much downtown, so we could get any comics that we wanted pretty much any time. But dude, it just got so fucking frustrating.
Yeah, that sucks when people kind of get in the way of your goal or your, you know, profession.
100%. I mean, like, it was really frustrating.
Okay.
I mean, I'm trying to get this fucking thing off the ground.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get this show rolling. And at a certain point, I just gave it up. And then I tried to then I gave it to somebody else. And I wasn't really crazy about the way that he treated me in the process of me giving it to him. Whereas there was supposed to be a certain deal that we had, and the deal wasn't really honored. And then also, like, I warned him going into it. I'm like, hey, the proprietor of the venue is addicted to meth, so know this going in. And he'd be like, hey, she didn't show up for the show tonight. I'd be like, yeah, I know. That's why I stopped working with them. And it was just a fucking disaster, man. It was an absolute disaster. So I decided to cut ties with that. Then I started running a daytime show. There were so many frustrations with that. We couldn't sell tickets. So I was just at that point where I went, I'm not producing shows anymore. I'm here to just like fucking do stand up. And he had this idea, and I went, I don't really want to do it. And then eventually he convinced me, and then we've leveled up.
Okay.
So Will's version of this
yeah, go basically, yeah, you guys met at a gym, you started talking, and I think he said the same sentiment. It's like, yeah, Joe didn't want anything to do with a backyard show. But I did see context matters, because when you said you didn't want to produce a show, we didn't know that it was because of all the failed attempts and dealing with outside sources. But it just shows, once you find the right people, something beautiful can blossom. And so in the
100%.
in the curation of Ha Ha, I know you said no in the beginning, but what were some of the clear indications that, hey, this is a unique thing for Austin, especially in the comedy scene? What was one of the first things that you saw? It was like, damn, that's awesome.
Well, right off the bat, we decided to kind of go ham with the marketing. And so for the first one, it was just like a really casual backyard show. I think like 30 people came out. It was really chill.
It's pretty good
yeah, it was great. But it was like, it was 30 people where it was, 3 guys really behind it. And it was like basically all of us bringing our 10 closest friends plus a few others that just sort of found out about it. Then it was up to like 50 on the second one. And somebody came in, took pictures. It was okay. And then I forget when it really started to make the turn. But somewhere in there, we hired Antonio. And the photos were unbelievable. And the video reels were unbelievable. And then we just started. And then like we had this vibe where it was like, oh yeah, we're the second one that we did, Will's dad's grilling burgers in the backyard.
That's awesome.
We're hanging out. We're playing beer die, and it just became this thing where unknowingly we sort of created the most unique thing because we weren't trying to. We weren't like going out there going, okay, we need to have somebody grilling so it feels like a casual, cool atmosphere. We need these lights in the tree so that it looks like a really nice backyard. It literally was like, it all happened naturally. Yeah. The fucking Will's backyard came with a fucking stage in the middle of it. It was like it was a sent from God. I mean, it was crazy. So when we started ripping, I mean, things just sort of took care of themselves. People were like, what's your Instagram ad strategy? I'm like, we've never run one. Yeah. We don't do fucking any of that.
It's all word of mouth, right?
100%.
Yeah. Will also said that you guys aren't too keen on the PowerPoint presentations during y'all's meetings.
Will loves a good PowerPoint.
I mean, I look at the comedy industry as not very professional is not the word. It's not very corporate. But when you bring in corporate elements like a PowerPoint presentation that you can clearly see the details and the outline of something or a project, I'm like, that's how I know it's going to work. Like, it sucks to go corporate. It sucks. I get it. But the reason why big businesses blow up and go on to make, go on to be profitable is because they're implementing these little details.
100%.
Like Will. And that's like, dude, Will, I will fuck with you any time of day. Just let me know. Whatever you need from me, I'm down.
I just make fun of Will because it's fun. But it's like, when we're doing a PowerPoint presentation about a comedy show, it's hard not to just be like, this is hilarious. But at the same time, Will's, I didn't realize this at the time, but the thing that I really like value about our business partnership is there's so many things that he can do and that he's willing to do that I did not know how to do.
Yeah.
Like the organization at the beginning was something that I just didn't have. And it's like changed the way that I approach my own business because he's like, we need dates in the fucking calendar. We need to stick to them. We need to know what caliber of comics we're bringing in. We need the chair rentals and the porta potties and the fans and the PA system figured out well in advance. We need to have setup and tear down times. We need to have all this going on. I'm like, yo, this is so much for like one show. And I'm like,
but that's what it takes to
that's
to grow
what it
something.
took.
Yeah.
So because of that, we're kind of like, it's really, there's some things that are just like natural and fun, and then there's the things that we have to just like force them to happen. But it's different in that like other shows that I've done, you don't really do the right work early on. And so the work that you end up having to focus on is, holy fuck, we need to sell 30 more tickets. And you've got no road plan, no map of how you're going to make it happen. Where with this, it's like, okay, we need like the most dynamite flyer. Also, didn't even give a mention that Alex's like graphic design skills are unbelievable. Like, and we had some of the coolest graphics going in the business. And when people came in, I mean, I think like we would share these flyers and people would look at it and go, that's something that I want to go to, versus us like cranking out the same thing over and over again. So I think people looked at that and they were like, this is great. Everything's done. Whereas like at the cloakroom, I would be like, hey, we're not selling tickets. I need to go on Canva and try to rebuild this fucking flyer at the last minute. And it just wouldn't work.
Now, when you're hosting, that's what it's called when you're like at HA, you're hosting, right? Mm-hmm. When you're hosting a show, how is that different than your actual, I guess, your set and your bits?
It's impossible.
But you're so good at it.
I don't feel good if any of the things that you filmed, I've walked off every time and went, that fucking sucked.
It seems like it's more so crowd work, right? When you're hosting?
Yeah, I mean, it's really challenging because, like, when we go up to Georgetown, Georgetown is nice because at every show, I always ask at the beginning of the Don't Tells, I go, how many of you have been to a show here before? And almost no one claps. And then I go, how many of you, this is your first time coming? And it's always the same. When I look out at the Hidalgo audience, I'm making eye contact with people that I know personally. And I'm looking around and I'm like, half of you were at the last show. So that material's out. And then I'm looking around and I'm like, half of you were also at the show before that. So that material's out. So I'm fucking so stupid. So I do 15 minutes to open up top on every show. So I've burned 100% of my material.
But it's you're forced into a sink or swim situation, right?
100%.
And I don't notice any struggle. I don't notice any disappointment. I don't know. And I've seen your shows a few times, but I don't get that sense of failure, if you get what I mean.
It's not failure. It's just like, I'll give you an example. On Friday night, I did someone else's Don't Tell. I did Hunter's Don't Tell at the wine bar. And versus opening up, I got to walk in to a show that had been going on for 45 minutes to a hot crowd and just go. And it was amazing. Like, it was so fun because I didn't have to do the whole legwork of, how are you guys? The bathroom's over there. How many of you guys have been here before?
Celebrating any birthdays.
Yeah. I mean, dude, like, you try not to hack it up, but at the same time, the challenge is there are logistical announcements that you need to make up top. People need to know not to heckle. They need to know not to talk. They need to know not to film the comics. Because inevitably you go, you know what? I don't want to be the guy that announces the rules up top. So I'm not going to do that. And then the first comic goes up and they're pissed because some guy's got a fucking phone in their face like this for the whole set.
And they're blaming you, right?
And then somebody's looking around for the bathroom in the middle of the show and you're like, what the fuck? And then there's two people that are just chit-chatting.
Yeah.
So the way that I handle it is at the beginning of every show I say this. This is the deal. Bathrooms are over there. That's it. Please don't film anyone. There's people that are famous. They're going to be working on stuff. Don't do that. People just don't want the stuff out yet. Capiche? And this is the other thing. Everybody at the beginning of these shows, they always hear this and they go, oh yeah, I like to talk to the people next to me, but I whisper. Let me tell you something. All of you think you whisper quietly. You fucking don't. So this is my promise to you. If someone is whispering next to you and you can hear them, you have my full permission to tell them to shut the fuck up. And if they don't listen to you or they give you a hard time, me and Will help you fist fight them behind. And every time it gets to laugh and then no one talks for the whole show. And it just works. Yeah. But then it's like, okay, now that I've said that, I have a joke about Morgan Spurlock that I want to open up. How the fuck do I get there? And you just kind of just have to go, okay, we're just going to start. Ready? Go. And it sucks.
But again, I know you think it sucks, but I think it's very unique, and it takes talent to do that. And I'm always in awe of when you do crowd work, especially with that cowboy at Roscoe's that one night. Like,
dude, and I posted that on Instagram, and everybody went, "This sucks."
Oh, you fucking people don't know what good comedy is. Just like, I could feel that there was a tension in the room. Like, people were chirping up. There was a few drunk individuals, and I'm like, oh fuck, I hope it doesn't ruin Joe's set. I hope he doesn't bomb because of it. But you went right at him in a very, very soft way.
I think it worked well. And it was like, the thing that pissed me off is on the video, everybody's going, why'd you attack that guy? And I'm like,
oh,
if you were in the fucking room, you would have understand that every single comic before me had bombed because this guy wouldn't shut up.
Right.
And I don't know. One thing that I think we need to figure out how to do this on the vlog and how to express this is when you are watching Instagram clips online of people doing stand-up, every time that bit that you're watching, unless it's a heckler interaction, they've done that bit hundreds of times. And they pick the best room with the best cameras set up at the right angles, with the right sound system, with the hottest crowd on the best night in a full room. And then I'm going into a room on my first set of the night where there's fucking 15 people there in a room that's too big, that has an echo system, where I'm running in and I'm being like, hey, Ramon, I'm going on stage in 3 minutes. Go set the camera up. And you're like, what the fuck? And I go, just fucking go. And then we don't even have time to mic the audience properly. We don't have time to do anything. And then you put it on YouTube, and these fucking dickheads that like review these vlogs go in and go, this guy's not funny at all. Holy fuck. And you're like, yeah, no shit. No shit. And they're like, well, the material's bad. And you're like, you don't understand the way that it works. What happens is when you're doing well, you start hitting a roll, you start hitting a vibe. You're like, ooh, maybe I'll go here. When you're not doing well and the room's empty, you're like, I don't know what to do. You just start flailing.
And I think you did it in a very beautiful way where you also pointed out that guy was being obnoxious, but in a way you befriended him and you had some jokes, and I forget, you made a connection with the United Healthcare situation that happened.
He was talking about dumping a bucket of shit on somebody's head. And I was like, yo, you're going to get shot.
He seemed very chill, but I think you softly put him in his place. And otherwise, in every other situation, he would have pummeled you and me and everyone else in that room because he was a big dude.
Big ass motherfucker.
You did it in a very eloquent way, and I'm like, man, that's true comedy. And I think that only comes from experience in dealing with those types of situations. Now, as you evolve as a comic, what were some of the comics that you loved growing up?
Burr.
Okay.
For sure. I think Burr was the guy that got me into this. And then early on, I really started going down the Norm Macdonald rabbit holes. And that was like incredible. I love Norm.
One of the most insightful things that you said on that vlog, I don't know if you put it in, but you said, like, if you could do other comedians' bits the way a musician could play other people's songs, I think that would, help a comic. But you can't really do that.
100%.
Yeah, elaborate on that.
So I stand by that 100%. And this is basically what I meant by that. Last night, we went and saw Marcus King. And it was incredible. He played with the Kill Tony band, which, by the way, people come at Kill Tony, and I think sometimes rightfully so. The most bulletproof part of that operation is the band.
100%.
The Kill Tony band is... I don't think people get it. It's like as good as like a Johnny Carson band, but better.
No,
I mean, They have like dude, I was watching Matt Muehling going lick for lick last night with Marcus King, one of the greatest guitar players alive, and holding his fucking own. Mm-hmm. Those guys absolutely shred. But here's the thing about last night's set is they just decide, okay, fuck it. We're playing this song. And while they're doing a cover of one song, they start to pick up on a lick, and then they dive right into Hey Joe by Jimi Hendrix. Incredible. At no point during a stand-up set can you go, oh, fucking Carlin kind of has a bit about this. I'll just do that lick. You have to try to go 100% on original ideas. And early on in stand-up, there's this thing where you are trying to master the writing and the performance at the same time, and it's a lot. So I think like early on in stand-up, you should be able to perform other people's material in like a closed setting. You shouldn't be able to record it and put it out and take credit for it, but it would be really helpful if they go, okay, this Louis bit is one of the greatest bits ever. Go crush on it. And if you got that part down, it would kind of be like learning how to play like a Johnny Cash song early on. Like you don't pick up the guitar and try to write a song on the first day. Like you learn other people's shit. Yeah. So if you fuck up the Louis bit, the issue is not the writing. The issue is the performance. And so I would get that part down first. But at the beginning, you just bomb for so many years and you don't know what the issue is. So that's hard. Yeah,
but it's also kind of putting the individual who's doing those bits, like, they need to be honest about it. Like, they need to, in a way, somehow attribute that bit to the artist. But what I'm trying to say is, like, they need to pay homage to the artist that they're getting the idea from. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because when you play a Jimi Hendrix song, that's very Jimi Hendrix. You know who that is, and you don't have to like give credit to. But I just feel like most people, I don't want to say that, but I feel like there might be some inclination to say, hey, this bit is Bill Burr's bit, but I'm going to make it my own. And they're not going to give credit where credit's due. And that could be not dangerous, but I don't know, that could lead to a lot of arguing. So I get what you're saying, but I really want to see how some comedian can do that, because I think you're very right.
It would be interesting. And I don't know if it's ever going to happen or if we'll ever get there.
Because ultimately it's up to the comic to be honest about it. And
it would have to get to this point where it's like, okay, maybe like but there's no comedian consensus, right?
Right.
Like, and so there's no consensus. So truly you can do, I guess, whatever you want. These people would attack you for it. But I guess going up early on and doing that would be like impressive. You just couldn't put it online.
Yeah.
We would have to come up with an agreement like, hey, we're not doing this.
Right. So one of the things that made me really happy in working with Nico Little, a musician here in Austin, is that on this podcast, he told me he's finally taking guitar lessons. And this is at a point in his career where I'm like, oh, he's really energetic on stage. He's nailing solos. But the fact that he's able to, take his career seriously and get some proper instruction on how to play guitar makes me excited to be working with him. So in your career, what are you doing professionally that is helping you become a better comic? Like, are you seeking outside help? Are you doing classes? What?
It's a great point. I was talking to my brother about that actually, because he's starting to play guitar, and I'm like, you got to figure out the difference early on between like practice and noodling, because early on in guitar, everything is practice because you don't know how to play a G chord. So eventually you're going to reach a point where you can play a G chord, and you're going to learn to play like the G, D, E minor, C thing. And you're just going to do that over and over again. And then you'll learn every chord on the guitar, and then you'll learn the pentatonic scale, and then you'll just start doing the same shit over and over again. And then it becomes this very intentional thing where you have to break habits, almost like a cigarette, where you go like, all right, I always play this, but I need to not do that. I need to either learn someone else's music again, or I need to like just sort of lock in and learn like this lick or this move. Like, I play guitar every day. Right now I'm working on two things. I'm working on the Another Brick in the Wall by Pink Floyd solo, and I'm working on the Bold as Love thing by Jimi Hendrix. Okay. Great. And I'm working on this classical piece of music, and it's great, but there's no real like analogous piece of stand-up to that because of the issue of what we were discussing earlier. So I guess like it's going out and trying to do new things. But last night I went to fucking Buzzmill, and I don't have anything. I'm just going to go up there and talk about whatever comes to mind. And I ate a fucking dick. It was terrible.
Buzzmill has comedy shows now?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They always
the one
have.
off East Side or East Riverside? Okay. Didn't know that. Okay. That's cool. That's news. So when it comes to eating dicks, what are you listening? I know in the car you said you listen to your shows back. So what is your analysis when you do poorly on a show? Is it your delivery? Are you noticing the crowd? What are you taking in as far as data points?
Man, I think it's everything.
Everything? Okay.
It's like some shit that I'm working on just is not working, and it's really frustrating. Like, I'm at this point right now where I am struggling a little bit because I'm trying to get productive during the day, and I've got a bunch of other things that I need to be working on, and then at night I'm like going to do stand up, but I'm getting so deep into this like productivity mode that is kind of like hampering the creative side of things. So I haven't really had any like new great ideas in a while. Like, usually I'll have like a bit that I came up with in the last couple weeks.
Okay.
I haven't had anything in weeks.
I got an idea to pitch to you.
Sure.
One of the main reasons why we started working together was you put a post, or you hit up a story about doing a beer mile. And you needed someone to film it. I'm like, dude, I'm your guy. Let's fucking do it. And then I just talked to one of my buddies who's a soccer player, super yoked. His name's Brendan. He's played soccer. And I thought, what if we did like would you be interested in doing a beer mile? He's like, oh yeah, I'd smoke that. Totally. So we need to do that beer mile.
We need to. I think
you need to
time
invite
is
some
coming.
peeps, and we need to get it filmed because that is a great fucking idea. And I think it'll be fun.
I really want to do it. The toughest part about this type of shit though is like you ran into this today with these fucking Austin people. They don't show up to shit.
Well,
and they're late.
That's why you send out a shotgun message. First one to respond gets a spot. Hey, I'm not going to take it personal. I was a little perturbed that he didn't show up, but I'm like, I can't take it personal. People have their lives to live, but either way, I'm going to at least get one thing done, and that's his podcast. So, like, you have to send out shotgun blasts, and it is what it is, and you just kind of, like, you know, make it good through video editing and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, I think you just, hey, we're going to do it on this day. Whoever shows up, whatever, and just like your crowd work, we're going to make it work. We're going to make it funny. We're going to find something that is going to be of substance to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think that would be great.
Get it done.
I'm into it. I think that could be great.
What's your fastest mile?
For
just a regular mile.
4
minutes?
20 maybe.
Jesus.
That was in high school.
Oh, okay. How do you think the beers will factor in?
The fastest beer mile I've run is 6:40.
Holy shit.
I want to do 6:30.
Fuck. Are you shotgunning or are you chugging?
You can't shotgun. It's against the rules.
It's against the rules. Okay, I didn't know that.
So the way to do it is to run a really good beer mile is you don't use cans because chugging out of a can.
Carbonation.
Yeah, without like. So a can has way better like alternative methods of chugging a beer, like a shotgun or twist the top, and like you do like the thing where you like sort of pop the top like that, push it down so that you can get more of a hole in it. You can drink a beer way faster out of a can because you can do that. But if you can't modify it, a bottle is way faster.
Okay. So you get
bottles, and I can get them down in about like 5-6 seconds.
Okay. Have you ever thrown up from one?
Yes.
Oh my God. Now that's content gold.
So that was a tough one. I was in Boston. We did a beer mile, and I won. I had a really good race. And then the next year we did it, but it happened to be on the day of like the Boston UVM get together.
Yeah.
And so I went to the get together before. I drank like 3 or 4 beers. I then like was hungry, so I went and got Subway. And then so I showed up like
eat fresh,
having eaten a meatball sub and a little drunk, and I threw up on the last straightaway.
All 12 inches came back out, huh?
Yeah, I was on pace to run 6:45 too. I was going to win
Jesus.
again. I got DQ'd.
A couple more questions. We've been at it for over an hour. It's flown by. That's what
we're cruising.
I love this. I love podcasting. So, how does a comic make money? I know I seen videos of you shoveling fake snow, working at Coda, chucking beers.
Mm-hmm.
How do comics make money?
It's a good question. Most of them don't. I think it's insane, like the disparity from the top to the bottom, where like a list of the highest paid comics of 2025 came out, and I think Bargatze made over 80 million.
Good.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's a good number.
And to me, that is not something to look at and go like, oh, fuck that. I think you should look at that and go like, this is amazing and like an indicator that like you can do really fucking well in this business.
Sure, yeah. Just takes effort and time.
Takes effort. I mean, but then there's some of the people towards the middle, and by middle I mean like people that are doing really well on the road that I'm friends with, and then you think they're going to be a lot richer than they are, but the reality is like making $300,000-$400,000 grand a year is not as like opulent as you think it would be. for me, last year, I made. Should I fucking just say what the numbers are?
No, don't. Please don't say it.
Okay.
We're not talking numbers.
All right.
Did you do well for yourself?
Last year, on average, every month, I made about $1,500 less than I needed to survive every month.
Okay.
On a month-to-month basis. And I supplemented that with... Oh, wait. Part of that income was like money from the track.
Yeah.
And doing stuff like that. And Hidalgo and all that. I went into it being like, okay, I can lose $1,500 a month. This is fine. Worked for my dad, made a little bit of money doing that, offset some of it. But some months we just had to go in and like sell. Like I sold like 1/10 of a Bitcoin in like October, which obviously sucks. Because I got $6,000 for that, and I could have got 10.
Damn.
But yeah, that's like sort of the ways that I was making it work. A lot of it was like just draining savings and getting rid of assets. For me, it's the hardest. This is what the goal was this year. There were only 2 goals. The first goal was to post a piece of content every day. And then the second goal was to make 3 times as much money doing stand-up as I did last year. Because I didn't make that much money in January of last year, beating that number was pretty fucking easy. Tripling it was very easy. Now I do don't tell. There's a specific revenue split on the profit, and so I do pretty good on all the shows.
That's awesome. So they pay you a cut of what you bring in, right?
Yep, they pay you a cut of the profit.
That's so good. That's
and the
awesome.
number is awesome.
Good.
Plus, there's like a hosting and booking fee on top of that, so they take care of you, which is amazing.
Thank you. Don't tell.
Yeah, seriously. I don't know why they decided to give it to me.
Because you're a good salesman, Joe.
I know, but when you think about it, there are 2,000 comics in Austin.
Holy shit, I didn't know there was that many.
I don't know why when you look at all of the 2,000, you're like, he's the right one. Actually, it kind of makes sense. It does, because everyone has like some glaring issue when you work with. I've tried to start shows with so many people in this city, and it's either like you're not funny enough, or you don't work hard, or you're not smart. And there's always, dude, goddamn, listening back to this fucking podcast, I'm gonna sound like such an asshole. But whatever, who cares? Fuck it, I am an asshole. It's okay. I think what I'm trying to say is there's like different. Everyone has shortcomings, and working in Hidalgo, Will and Alex have forced me to deal with and fix a lot of my shortcomings. Like the PowerPoint thing, I was like, this is so stupid. And then it turns out I'm disorganized, and getting like fucking a PowerPoint and putting things together on paper and writing down what we actually need to do and making spreadsheets for the money was extremely fucking helpful. And they also like were guys that wanted to take risks. Like I didn't want to get chairs for the show because that added a huge expense. I didn't want to get porta potties, but like you take those risks, you spend that money, it always comes back. It's come back to us every time.
Do you know who you guys are using for chairs?
United Rentals.
Okay. I think maybe Enchantment. Have you ever looked at Enchantment Rentals? I think they might be cheaper. Enchantment typically works in the wedding industry, but they're pretty. No, that's not Enchantment. Shit, Premier Events. Yeah. Anyways,
Sick.
we'll just. I'll send that info over.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And
then, but what I was gonna say is the don't tell thing. Like I'm doing like 3 of those a month, and then we're doing 6 Hidalgos.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna try to get the don't tell number up to like 6 a month, and then just have everything taken care of, do more road work, because I don't want to get stuck as like a local guy where I'm like just this producer. I want to fucking make it. So I'm trying to attack both of those angles, the income and the exposure.
Just saying, I just got a companion pass for Southwest.
Ooh.
So if you want to take it on the road in the summertime, we can chat.
Let's go, dude.
So And the reason why I asked that, the economy is we flew to California this past weekend, visit my dad for his 84th birthday, and I don't have the TSA.
Holy shit, your dad's old.
I know. He's very old, but he is more than capable of handling himself at that age. He's coherent. Well? Oh yeah, he's doing great. He's having a blast out in California. He's a pool shark. Him and my brother just play pool all day after my brother comes home from work. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they're pretty fucking good. I only won like one game out of playing them over the weekend. But as we were in line to, go through security, they're the clear people. You know how they're selling whatever the clear thing is? These guys were not talking to anybody in line. Like I'm like, this is a perfect role for, I don't know, maybe a comedian or musician. That way they can talk to them. They can get their, communication skills down. They can work on selling points. They can, talk to these individuals. And they were just like, swinging around their car. They just weren't being personal. I'm like, this is a great way to make money and also build, those human skills.
Great point.
And I'm like, immediately, not that you would need it, but like if you ever came on hard times, like fucking go to Clear and you would crush there. You'd probably be their number one top seller.
Be great.
Because they're just talking to people all day and none
we
of them
are on the hard
it.
times right now, by the way.
Really? But what about beer sponsorships? Have you ever reached out to some of my favorite breweries, Nomadic Beer Works in particular?
PBR sent me a very nice box.
Oh yeah, there you go. PBR,
cool.
yeah. So how are you working? Are you trying to get sponsorships and people to work with you? Because I feel like you have the viewership, you have the audience that is of value to any brand.
Yeah, I want to get that going. It's a challenge though.
Okay, what are the hurdles that you can talk about?
Well, it basically comes down like this. Like I posted that top 3, bottom 3 cheap beers in America video. And then like PBR DM me immediately.
Nice.
And then like Labatt commented, all the beers were in there.
Fucking
so
awesome.
Like, all right, we got all the big dogs.
Yeah.
And I think they like want to send you swag and shit. But the conversation, I'm trying to figure out how to pivot it from like, hey, thanks for the hats and socks, but I want like, can I have $10,000?
Well, I mean, the fact that you're on their radar, I think that's a good start. Yeah. And you being the salesman that you are, I'm sure you can finagle or figure out a way or chat GPT something. Hey guys, let's work together.
Let's do it.
As we're kind of closing in on this podcast, I want to talk about like what's going on in the world. Online, it seems
What's
like
your take on the Trump's Gaza plan?
Yeah, I really want to know the ins and outs and your opinions on that. But it just seems like the world is on fire from a social media standpoint. Everyone hates everyone. No one supports our past or current president. It's just like, from my perspective, I want whoever's in charge of the United States, I pray and hope that they're doing good for the betterment of us. I know that's not always the case. I think there's ideologies that are heavily involved, but for the most part, I want to root for every American president that, is the American president. And online, it seems like a dumpster fire, but when I go out, when I go to the airport, when I'm hanging out in social settings and the friends that I surround myself with, it seems like it's pretty good. Yeah. It seems like the world isn't on fire. It seems like we're doing okay. What's your take on it? Do you feel like the world is in shambles? I know there's communities out there that are suffering terrible things, but I don't know. It just, I don't want to believe everything that's online.
So this is kind of the way that I think about it. When I think about like the country post World War II, so like post the big boom, like that was the whole like industrial mega boom in the country. Things have been incredible, right? There's been so many like medical revolutions that have changed, like the average life expectancy has gone up dramatically. Yeah. The economy's exploded. People are doing great. You look at that and that's incredible. But then like you drive down, like I was driving down 35 to get here and I'm like looking to the right and there's homeless people and there's traffic. Yeah. And I think it's like, when you're hanging out, things are good. You have to remember that some Americans are living in hell. Sure. They're truly living in hell. They are having to drive on the freeway system long periods of time to and from a job that they hate in a car that smells like shit and feels like shit, and they don't have good relationships, and people are isolating more. I think it's not good. Like, I think part of the reason that people are unhappy is like one of the largest indicators of happiness long term in life is like a good marriage, like a successful marriage, and the percentage of Americans that are married is going down dramatically. It's some insane statistic. I forget what the number is, but like, just look up marriage statistics for people in their at age 30 now versus 30 and 60 years ago. It's crazy. So I think like one of the things that's going on is there's like a big push towards individualism, and I think that I bought that hook, line, and sinker obviously because I became a comedian, and I'm a 31-year-old single guy. So that like pushes you towards wanting to do things on your own and wanting to be successful, but it like really sort of drives you away from like the traditional American family. But I think the traditional American family is like one of the best things that we've got. So I don't really know where I'm going with this. What I'm saying is I understand why some people are miserable, and I think I look at some people and they're like, the average American checking account is like $500 in it, and the average American is in debt. And so you're like, yeah, things are pretty good, but they're also not. They're also like fucked up.
Yeah. And well, I guess my counter argument to that is I understand that people are suffering, but that's been a constant through our human existence. And when I think of the most shittiest times of my lives, I just can't help but go back to like when we first established this country and how terrible things were at that point. Look at how far we've progressed. I think about my dad's times when he couldn't go into movie theaters because he's a very dark complected Mexican, and he was told to sit in certain spots in the theater. Sometimes he wasn't even allowed. Meanwhile, I can go into any movie theater and not suffer the same repercussions. I'm
100%.
I'm married to a white woman. She was able to buy, hell yeah. She was able to buy her own home. So I think of all these bad times, and I think of what's happening now, and I'm just like, yeah, things are tough, but they're not as bad as they once were. And I think that helps me keep things in perspective, while also being humbled of other communities that aren't as what's the word I'm looking for? As successful.
Yeah.
So
I think you're right. I mean, I think everything really is San Francisco when you think about it. Like, I used to live in San Francisco, and on the news, San Francisco's fucked up. There's shit in the streets. There's traffic. Yeah. Violence. Car break-ins. And you live there, and you realize 100% of those things are true. Don't leave your backpack in your car in the fucking Tenderloin. Right. There are heroin needles all over the place. There is addiction. There is mismanagement of government funds. There is, on average, fund statistics, $70,000 per homeless person of government funds advocated for every person in San Francisco, and they still live on the street. Things are fucked up. But you stand at the top of the hill in the marina, and you look down one street, and there's the Golden Gate Bridge. And you look down the other street, and there is Alcatraz, and you can see them both, and it's fucking beautiful. And then you have Golden Gate Park, the most beautiful park in the United States of America. You have the Presidio, you have the marina. It's all unbelievable, but you have shit in the street. You know, and it's like, I think it's just, that's the way everything is everywhere, man. Especially in the States. There's like, as we grow, like the problems grow too. Sure. And yeah, it's just a matter of where you want to put your attention. But I think it gets a lot of the talk of like, hey, put your attention here. You know, focus on the good is tough when you're $30,000 in debt.
I get that. But a part of me just doesn't want to give into the idea, like, I don't know. I feel like you can pick, this is going to be bad, but I do feel like you can pick yourself up by your own bootstraps if you're of able mind, if you're of good health. You know, there's certain things you can always change to better your life. And I was never raised to give into the idea like society's against you. You're never going to be successful because of who 100%. You are. I was raised like, all right, Ramon, if you're going to be a videographer, you're going to have there's no retirement. There's no health insurance. So you're going to have to find a way to, make that yourself. And little did they know I would marry a white woman who has health insurance and is a nurse. But still, I never believed into the idea like, you can control your own destiny because of who my parents were. They were poor. So like, why shouldn't I be a success? So I don't know. It's just,
I think you're correct though. Cause it's, I like, got raised with a lot of that. I think there's, despite how different, being Catholic and Irish Catholic and Mexican Catholic is, a lot of the value systems are the same. A lot of it comes,
I believe, yeah,
like it is. I mean, like I hear you talking about your dad, and I've heard like the same stuff where my dad's like, don't ever think the country's fucking doomed. Like, don't ever buy into that.
Right.
It's garbage.
Yeah.
This is the greatest place to live in the world. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. It's a fucking joke if they're trying to tell you otherwise. Yeah. These fucking people that are trying to tell you that this is like the worst place in the world, the fuck is wrong with them? And you're like, yeah, I get it. Like, I understand it.
I see both sides. I get both sides, but I was raised to not think that the world is against you.
I don't think it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it is either. Cool, man. Well, what are you excited about for 2025? We're still in February.
For 2025, I'm excited to see where this thing goes when I finish the videos every day.
Yeah.
When I get to the end of the year, what's going to have happened. Every other period has been a time of like growth, and this is a time of like sort of cashing in on that growth.
Yeah.
And it's been exhausting, and there's been a lot of days where it's been midnight and I haven't wanted to post something, but I have to just dig deep and come up with something. I hope it works. And if it doesn't, it's going to be a great learning experience. I'm excited to do more shit with you.
Yeah.
I think we're going to do some cool vlogs. I think we're going to do other stuff too. We're going to branch out.
I think it'll be fun.
And I'm excited for it to work and to not be fucking broke anymore.
Well, you start from humble beginnings and then you'll just grow into being a rich asshole.
Yeah.
And then that'll be fun too.
Well, look, yeah, it's just going to be like I'm back at prep school. So.
All right, brother.
All right.
Thank you so much for stopping by.
Of course.
All right, this podcast will be out within the next 6 hours probably. Since
really? Holy shit.
Fucking Jacob West canceled on me, you fucker. I'm kidding.
Shout out Marcus King.
Shout out Marcus King. All right, America. Thanks so much for listening and watching. Really appreciate all the views. I appreciate everyone who tells me that they watch it. It makes me feel good, and I hope you're getting something out of it. I hope it's educational or entertaining. But I really want to thank Joe for taking time out of his day to come and sit and chat with me. And so thank you all for watching. God bless. I hate this.